Hello everybody, welcome to Asa Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already and drop a like on the video. This is Hot Takes. Let's get into it. Also, I should mention these hot takes were taken about 2 months ago. Pretty much all of them are evergreen because it was off-season stuff, but I might not actually recognize these takes initially, and that might add a fun dynamic to it. So here we go. The only difference between players now and the mailmen or whatever in the 60s through 80s is that players now play AAU ball since they were 13 and have the best training, recovery, etc., etc. That's what that means in the world. That's why you can't compare Wilt and Kuzi to Embiid and Luka. It's apples to oranges. Well, in the case of someone like Kuzi, he played in segregation basketball for his peak, so I'm not giving him credit. But as for the entirety of that other argument, there is definitely some truth to that for sure. I think it's ridiculous to dismiss post-segregation athletes. Anything before that, it's not legitimate to me. You weren't allowing an entire race of people to play the game. It's not a fair sample size of the competition and capabilities of the human population. That said, yeah, it's definitely training stuff is a matter. That's why when people go like, what would Bill Russell be like in today's league? Well, it's like, okay, is it Bill Russell with modern training techniques, or are we just taking Bill Russell from the 60s and dropping him in today's era? Or the argument of like Kyrie Irving, if he played in the 60s, would be the best player in the world. And it's like, okay, are we taking Kyrie from today, having benefited from these modern training techniques, and dropping him in the 1960s? Or are we saying Kyrie Irving grew up in the 40s and 50s and now enters the league at like 22 with, ball handling rules being the way they are? Like, Kyrie Irving would be a fundamentally different player if he grew up in that time period, let alone if he'd even be good to begin with. So there's a lot of factors in how the world works, where technology is, where training is, the popularity of the sport. The reason these players were mailmen and, garbage guys or whatever is because they made so little money they needed to work second jobs because the league wasn't actually that popular and didn't actually make that much money. So, the circumstances led to the results. And as the league got more popular, as there was more money in it, as it became financially smart to just work out all the time, and the workout and the techniques are just so much better, like, it's just so fundamentally different. It's a different world from what it used to be. So yeah, that's why I'd say all of it's within the context, and all-time greats like Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain still deserve a seat at the table, even if it's, even if their style, if you dropped them in right now, might not hold up quite as well, even though I do think they would definitely both still be star players if you dropped them in today's league. But either way, transcendent athletes have existed for hundreds of years. Technology just exists now to truly get the most out of those natural athletic capabilities. That was a long take, but there you go. Ben Simmons is still the best defender in the league today. He never was. As much as I love Ben Simmons, and even I would kind of creep towards this take in the past, he's just quite not, the 1 through 5 thing, it's like more like 1 through 4 and like half of the 5s. Really physical big men who know how to finish in the paint. He kind of struggles with them. And I just do think there are guys like Giannis, for example, who truly can defend 1 through 5 all the way. Giannis, Bam Adebayo, and even those who can't defend 1 through 5 like Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert probably brings an overall larger defensive impact, even if he's less versatile. So I think Ben Simmons is probably a top 5 defender in the league, but not the best. Due to availability issues, Karl Anthony Towns is more valuable to a team than Anthony Davis currently. Well, that implies that Cat doesn't sometimes have availability issues, although the past couple of years, that's not as much been the case. So maybe, I don't know. And I'm always here for Anthony Davis slander, but I'm actually getting to the point where it's like, at this point, it feels like AD's almost underrated. I'm leaning that way lately just because I was initially in the AD is overrated camp back when he was having people ask if he was better than Tim Duncan in 2020. But since then, with the injuries and the bad shooting, because he had a crazy shooting slump last year, I think it's gotten to the point where people are now stepping too far in the opposite direction. It's a similar trajectory with Russell Westbrook, I think, that I had, where I was like, yeah, all the way in, Russell Westbrook's overrated, and now the tides turn, and it's like, wait a minute, not that overrated, though, and what are you guys doing? And then here we are now. But as for this take, is Cat more valuable than AD? I mean, he's younger. He's, I believe, cheaper. I could be wrong about that. And he is more available. That said, peak AD is significantly better than peak Karl Anthony Towns. So, I don't know. It's an interesting take for sure. Availability does matter, though. The Kings will make the playoffs this year. I admire your optimism. I do think they can be a play-in team, and then from there, it's just a matter of whether or not they can win those 2 games. But I could see them being an 8th seed after the play-in, but that's about as high as I'd see them going. Random hot take that no one cares about. I do think Kevin Huerter is going to be in most improved player conversations this year. Like, I think he could get up to like 19 points a game just simply feasting off of De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis's pick and rolls and their playmaking. Like, the amount of open shots he's going to get, the amount of like opportunities to drive because the defense is so focused on those two. I do think he's going to be one of those play finishers that sometimes creates for himself enough to get to like at least 16 points per game. Yeah. There's my Kevin Huerter take, in case anyone was wondering. Giannis will retire as a consensus top 3 player of all time, above Kareem, above Kobe, above Magic and Bird and Wilt and Russell and anyone else, really. Well, thank you for listing a bunch of players who are not in the top 3 other than Magic Johnson, because I think Magic is the 3rd best player of all time. So it seems kind of pointless. We know what the top 10-ish players are, generally speaking, unless you're one of those weirdos that has like AI 9 or whatever. But for the normal people with their normal top 10, you didn't really need to list those names. That said, will Giannis eclipse the likes of Bird, Wilt, Russell, Kareem, Kobe? I think it's possible. It's a hard thing to project, and the one thing that I worry about with Giannis in terms of actually reaching a GOAT-level status is, first of all, comparing himself to a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys were great as soon as they entered the league, but also they did enter the league a few years older than he did, so that kind of balances out a little bit, but that does matter to some extent to me. And then the second aspect of that is, what are we expecting of Giannis when he's like 37? You know, is his physicality and his versatility, his speed, his athleticism, all that, is it going to be the same, or is it going to be good enough that he's still very much a top 5 player or so in the league, especially with the talent that we're going to see pouring into the league very soon here? I do wonder if in the latter years of Giannis's career, if he's maybe not quite as good as we'd like him to be. Obviously, Giannis is probably a top 5 favorite player of all time for me, so I don't want to see that happen, but I do wonder, just as a player who is, even though I will fight tooth and nail with you all day about the fact that Giannis is a very skilled player, still someone who does need his physicality and his athleticism to be the best version of himself. And I wonder if after Giannis reaches like 34, I mean, that still gives him, he's 27 now, 28, still gives him multiple years to achieve shit, and he does have a knack for achieving a lot of stuff in a short window of time. I'm pretty sure his DPOY MVP, Finals MVP, and championship was all within 365 days or something close to that, just because of the timing of the bubble and everything like that. But all of that said, it's possible. Hard thing to bet on with anybody, but if there's anybody you're going to bet it on, he's not a bad pick. Dame wins MVP this year and carries Portland to a top 3 seed. Well, I asked for hot takes, and that's certainly one of them. I was thinking recently that Dame is actually not a horrible, like, what's the word, dark horse MVP pick, just because, like, if the Blazers were a top 3 seed and Dame just averaged like 37-4 on great efficiency, which he's done something like that before, I don't know, I could see that case being made. That said, I don't have the confidence in the Blazers being that good. In fact, I would not even be surprised if they did not make the playoffs, even though I do think that that team is as good as it's really ever been. At the same time, I also think the West is crazy stacked, and there are a lot of good teams out there, a lot of up-and-coming teams, a lot of teams ready to eclipse the Portland Trail Blazers. I'd be happy to be wrong about it, though, because I really do like Dame, and I actually kind of like this roster, even though I've done nothing but criticize it. I do feel like they could be a pretty fun team, especially with how much I enjoy Anthony Simons, and I'm obviously a Jeremy Grant guy. Josh Hart, also a big fan of his. There's, a world where that team is pretty fun, and I'd like to see them be a playoff team, but I just don't see it. Well, sorry. I just don't see them being a top 3 seed. I do see them being potentially a playoff team. In fact, if I was doing my rankings right now, they'd probably get like the 8th seed or something. But just to clear that up. Josh Giddey will struggle to be a long-term part of the Thunder. He lacks a shot and will limit his off-ball ability, and he won't be good enough to be the primary ball handler because of Shea. Well, first of all, I do think that ball handling is just as much of a concern for Giddey as the outside shot is, because as much as he is a good passer, that does not being able to dribble well is another part of playmaking, and his handle can be a little wishy-washy sometimes, and having scoring gravity can really impact playmaking as well. So that does limit the fact that Josh Giddey, while a phenomenal passer, his actual playmaking ability can be limited by those factors. That said, Josh Giddey has looked really good in the preseason, especially with his jump shot. He's hit a couple of pull-up jump shots, mid-range jump shots, and hit his threes. He changed his form. He looks a lot more comfortable scoring the ball. And if that holds up, if Josh Giddey can be a 15-point-per-game guy and shoot 35% from 3 on 4 attempts per game, he's going to be instantly one of the most valuable role player point guards in the league. And if he could get to being like 17 and like a pretty good outside shot, pretty good at leveraging his drives to creating offense for others, then you could see the all-star potential that some see in Giddey. Personally, to me, I think he's going to end up being more like a 6'8" Ricky Rubio, which is a damn good player, but a player that also has noteworthy flaws that prevents them from being great. That said, I do see both sides of the Giddey debate, because he seems to be a fairly controversial player, and I'm friends with OKC fans who have strong opinions. I just think he's solid, and I think he has a lot of upside, but not everyone lives up to their upside, so you can really only wait and see. All right, this is the media take of the video, so if you want to click off, it's already 14 fucking minutes, so I've got plenty of audience retention here if you're watching at this point, but here's a media take. I like to end these with media takes if you do not remember, just because I like talking about this shit. It's fun to me. The Last of Us show is not going to be good, even though it has the goated Pedro Pascal. First of all, I do believe that Pedro is a great casting for Joel. I didn't quite think that when it was announced initially. I was pretty lukewarm on it, but when I finally saw the trailer, that man's voice, he fucking nailed it, all right? He gives me Joel vibes. I had hoped that they would give him a fake beard. They didn't give him a fake beard, but either way, that small nitpicky detail aside, he seems fine to me. The girl who played Ellie, they really did not highlight her well at all in the trailer, and I do have my concerns that she's just, I don't know, she seems kind of reserved and shy, and like doesn't give me the really confident swearing all the time, making jokes all the time, getting in people's faces, doesn't take shit from nobody Ellie. You know what I mean? So to that end, I wonder about her. I think Nick Offerman as Bill is a phenomenal casting. Some weird, strictly personal thing about that is I'm not really. I have a movie in my head, and I've wrote a little bit of the script and planned out all the characters and the general plot line and all that. And it's a zombie apocalypse movie, and ironically, Nick Offerman as a character who's kind of similar to what's his name, Bill. He was my dream cast for that role, so it was funny to then see him play fucking Bill, which I think is a fantastic. That's just perfect casting. So I like the casting. I like the aesthetic that I saw from the trailer, and I like the fact that Neil Druckmann is the one producing it. I think there's a world where it's pretty good. I think The Last of Us show could be like a solid 7.5 out of 10, and I'm gonna love it because it's The Last of Us. That said, that's basically my review of The Last of Us Part 2, and I didn't actually love it, but I would give it like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I don't know. I digress. I think the show will be fine. I don't know that it's going to be outstanding. I also don't think it's going to be terrible. Very Fence City take, but that's my genuine opinion. And yeah, that is it. Goodbye.